Hey Internet, Eric here. Today I'm going to continue my discussion of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. And if you're new to my channel, I have discussed parts 1 through 3. I have a playlist that if you're wondering what I think of those films, go ahead and check them out. And so if you haven't figured it out already or read the description of the video below, today I'm going to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Now this came out in '88, directed by Renny Harlin. Yep, '88. Directed by Renny Harlin of all people. It's funny seeing him direct a horror movie. He's hit and miss with me. I love Cliffhanger, and I think Die Hard 2 is severely underrated and underappreciated. But he also directed 12 Rounds, which I have reviewed on this channel in my movie thoughts. No, bad Renny Harlin. And I'm also going to eventually discuss Cutthroat Island for my Is It Worth the Hate category. I just got to get up the guts to watch it. Anyways, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I do discuss plot spoilers. I discuss specific scenes. When it comes to the Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I'm going to have to discuss certain deaths. So there will be spoilers of who lives and who doesn't. Yeah, alright. So, this film, we're once again following Kristen Parker. Kristen Parker was played by Patricia Arquette in part 3. She's now played by Tuesday Knight here. And we also have Joey and Kincaid, same actors, returning from part 3. Kristen, Joey, and Kincaid are now out of the psych ward. They're now in high school. They're back in high school. They're with rejoining society, however you want to fucking say it. And Kristen's still having dreams that Freddy is returning, and she still has the ability to pull people into her dreams. And of course, all this dreaming brings Freddy back to life. And here's a minor spoiler: if you have not seen this, eventually Freddy kills Kincaid, Joey, and Kristen, the last of the children of the group of parents that toasted Freddy alive, that burned him. But since Kristen has the power to pull people into her dreams, she sends that power into Alice, played by Lisa Wilcox. And basically the rest of the movie is now that even though the Elm Street children, the official Elm Street children, are dead, Freddy is now going to attack this new group of friends of Kristen's due to Kristen throwing her power into Alice. And that's the basic cookie cutter plot for Elm Street 4. This is one of the better ones, for sure. Robert Englund, once again, is great as Freddy here. They're now going more towards the comedic route with Freddy. It's not over-the-top garbage, goofiness here. He still has his one-liners, but they're not cringeworthy. They fit with the scene, and I really enjoy it. His body language is great. His body language, he's still creepy in a lot of scenes. There's a scene where he's attacking the black girl with asthma. I think her name is Sheila. I don't remember off the top of my head. Her dream, and she's dreaming, and she's in a classroom taking a test, and then she looks up, and then you see Freddy feet up on the teacher's desk, and he's got an apple, and he's slowly slicing the apple peel off, and then he takes his hat off and he slowly just walks up to her, menacing. He sticks his gloves in front of her face, and he does the, flicks his tongue right before her. So he's still creepy, menacing, disgusting, but he's got the one-liners, which I'll get to. Ken Sagoes back as Kincaid briefly. Still likable. I still love his performance. I wish there was more. Guy who plays Joey, he's in it for like maybe total 10 minutes. He's okay. Let's talk about Tuesday Knight, the replacement of Patricia Arquette for the Kristen character. I don't really like her at all. I wasn't a big fan of Patricia Arquette, in part 3. Tuesday here, she's likable, You know, she's kind of attractive. She's unique looking, I'll say that. But her performance is forced. It's very, very wooden in some parts, especially when there's a scene where her, Joey and Kincaid are already taken out, and her mom, it's the same woman from part 3, still a horrible bitch. She's put sleeping pills in Kristen's drink, like her lemonade for lunch. And then Kristen realizes what has happened, and it's just over the top. You've killed me, mother. This is your fault. And then she just goes upstairs and passes out and mumbles to herself. And it's just, I don't like her performance at all. I'm sorry. What is her name? Lisa Wilcox is Alice. I like, though. She's very sweet. She's very she's very sheltered. She's one of these characters that has no self-confidence in herself. And eventually, of course, she gets the self-confidence, after every death. There's a cool, like, after every death, she kind of gains a little bit of the personalities of her friends, and she becomes this tough chick by the end. And I really like this. I really like her performance. Going from meek, sheltered. She's sheltered because her father is this mean alcoholic, so she's taken all the punishment, and then by the end of the film, she's this tough chick that lets it all out on Freddy. Really like Lisa Wilcox's performance. The other main character would be her brother Rick, whoever the actor is. He's likable for the most part. Tries to be goofy to lighten the mood in a lot of the movie, and it's not too over the top, but sometimes he does come off as kind of a dork. But overall, very likable. And then we got some throwaway characters. We got, like I said, the nerdy girl. And then we got the hot chick who is obsessed with exercise. And then we got the hunk Dan, played by Danny Hassel, who is very likable, becomes, a love interest of Alice. Overall, he's decent. So performances overall are pretty good. The only one that I don't really like is Tuesday Night. Let's see here. We'll talk about one of my favorite parts of this movie is the opening sequence. And it's to a cool song actually sung by Tuesday Night. I think it's called Running From My Nightmare or just Nightmare. I don't know. Really fun song. Not really fun, but really cool sounding song. And it's kind of like the opening in part 3. In part 3, we had Patricia Arquette building like a papier-mâché house of Nancy's old house. Well, we have this cool song playing, and we're shown just little snippets of close-up shots of someone with chalk drawing up and down on a sidewalk, and it ends up being Nancy's old house with Freddy in the window. So that was a really neat sequence. I really like. Overall, I like a lot of Rennie Harlin's shots. The horrible scene I mentioned earlier where Kristen is, she's fighting off the sleeping pills. As shitty as her performance was, when she gets up to her room and she's trying to find her phone to call Alice or Rick, one of the two, we get an overhead shot. And it's spinning around and around, and it makes you dizzy. But it's cool because it makes you feel what Kristen is supposedly feeling when she's fighting off the sleeping pills. So I really like that scene. I like there's her dream sequence where I already said she dies, where after she passes out, she tells herself to dream someplace fun. She ends up being on a beach, and a little girl's building a sandcastle. And she looks out there, and you see a shark fin, rip off of Jaws, but really the shark fin is the Freddy glove, and it goes through the sand, destroys a sandcastle, and in a cool scene where it explodes, and Freddy's there, puts on some shades. He steps on Kristen's face and kind of pushes her through the sand, and as she goes through the sand, she pops out of the ceiling of the Nancy Thompson house, the boarded up house. But she's stuck on the ceiling, and she's got to crawl on the ceiling to get to the floor. And that was a really cool effect. I really like that. So Rennie Harlin, what he's good with when it comes to directing, he's great. We'll talk about some of the deaths. Some are really cool. Some are really fucking disappointing. Kincaid. Um, you already know he's gonna fucking die when this movie starts, because he's from the previous film. I like. First off, I like the shot where in the very beginning, Kristen has this dream and she brings Joey and Kincaid into the dream. This isn't a death scene. And Kincaid is sleeping at his desk, and you see him floating through the air, pulled, and he's floating through the air, and he morphs through the wall, and then he spits out into the dream world. It's really neatly done. Reminiscent of part 3 when Nancy falls asleep and she kind of falls into her chair and just kind of disappears and then plops out of a mirror. So that was a really cool homage, I think, if that's what it was. But Kincaid's dead. I really like the Kincaid dream scene where, first off, he's following his dog Jason. Wink, wink. And we're back at the junkyard from part 3. So, where Freddy's bones were buried, and consecrated and stuff. So I like the continuity there. So that is cool. And Jason is digging up the area where Freddy was buried, and then for some reason he pisses fire, and it opens up the ground, and you see Freddy's skeleton there, and the skeleton and some cool effects are put back together, and Freddy just shows up. So that whole scene is neat. I like Rennie Harlan's use of lights and colors and green in that scene, and then Kincaid gets what happens. Really like Joey's scene with the hot chick that appears in his waterbed. And that's all I will say. If you have not seen this film, I don't want to spoil Joey's death, because I think Joey's is really neat. Kristen, this is lame. Let's see here. Sheila, the black girl, it's pretty lame. At the end, but like I said, I really love this. I love where Freddy's sitting at the teacher's desk, slicing the apple. That's really cool. The biggest disappointment is the death of Rick. Now, Rick is a wannabe martial artist, okay? I mean, and it's total 80s. Like, he's in his garage with the fucking Japanese headband and the big flag of Japan behind him, and he's doing his fucking moves to Dramarama's Anything You Want, I'll Give You. It's very cheesy, very stupid, but it's kind of, it's cheesy 1988. And of course, so that's foreshadowing his death, which is he's fighting an invisible Freddy, doing martial arts moves, getting the shit kicked out of him. I mean, some of the times when he's thrown across the room looks cool, but it's him fighting no Freddy, and then it's over. Don't like that death at all. However, and I told you we're going to be talking spoilers here, they make up for it with, fuck is her name? Is it Debbie? The hot chick, who's obsessed with exercising. Her death makes up for everything. There's some foreshadowing earlier that she's afraid of bugs, hates them. So as she's, on her work or in her exercise bench, she's bench pressing, And there's this cool shot. Rennie Harlan fucking puts this cool shot. She's got these silver barbells, the weight, and you just see her lifting up and down. You see the barbell going up and down, and it's just reflecting off of nothing. And then suddenly you see Freddy's reflection in it. Totally cool. And then you see him standing over her. And as she's pushing up, he's pushing down. And then you just focus on her elbow. And her elbow just, rips open. And there's more to it eventually. I'll just say, she eventually turns into a cockroach. And more happens. But that death 100% makes up for the lameness of both Rick and the smart black chick girl's death combined. So that evens it out totally. There's a lot of cool scenes in this too when Alice is in her dream, and this is after Rick and everybody have died, and it's basically her and Dan left. And she walks into the diner that she works at, which is, hilariously called the Crave Inn, West Craven. She sees an older version of herself as a waitress, and then Freddy orders a pizza with meatballs on it, and there are people's faces, and of course one of them is her brother Rick, and he stabs it and eats the meatball. That's a cool scene. And right before that, Alice is having a dream, and she goes to a movie theater, and she gets sucked into the movie, which is a really cool effect. I love the use of slow motion in that scene. And as she's sucked in, she turns around, she looks, and in the balcony are all the dead friends, and they're applauding. So that's a cool. So make sure you look and pay attention to the people in the balcony after she's sucked in the film. There's a lot of really cool ideas. I love the scene where her and Dan are both asleep, and they're trying to rescue the hot chick. And I don't, like I said, I'm not remembering names. Go to Wikipedia for the fucking character names and the actresses. But they're trying to rescue the hot chick. Freddy's got them stuck in a loop, so she's running around. She's running out of the Crave Inn. She meets up with Dan. They get in his truck and drive, and then suddenly they have their conversation, and then suddenly she's running back out of the Crave Inn, and that goes on for like 2 or 3 times, and then they finally realize what happens. They see Freddy in the middle of the road, and they try to run him down, and then the truck just fucking crumples. And it's a wonderful fucking cool effect. I mean, Renny Harlin, you're doing good here. I love that effect. My only major problem with this film is how they defeat Freddy. You find out the Dream Master isn't anything special. The Dream Master is some stupid, shitty poem that Alice remembers to help her control her dreams. This is spoiling the movie, so whatever, it's from 1988. The end of the poem ends with basically, show evil itself and it will die. So she takes out Freddy by showing him his reflection in a fucking mirror. That part's really fucking lame, and I hate that idea. But it leads into Freddy's chest of souls, which we first see in part 3, and it's more animated here in part 4. I mean, you even see, Scream Queen Linnea Quigley, all naked, pops out. So that's kind of a cool effect. And these souls literally tear Freddy apart. So that goes from lame, which I fucking hate the whole mirror thing, to cool. And I love the shot where Alice holds up the mirror, and then it shoots to a close up on Freddy, and you go into like Freddy's eye or his mouth, and you see all the souls inside him. Then it pulls back out, and Freddy's screaming. So that's another cool shot. So Renny Harlin is at the top of his game, except for a couple parts, and this is what I want to talk about. So I mean, it's funny. I'm praising Renny Harlin except for these 2 scenes. Like I said, Alice is starting to get the powers or personalities of her friends as they die. And, of course, she gets Rick's powers, Mr. Martial Artist. So you see her swinging the nunchucks around. So you see her swing, basically just doing this when it's the front shot. But then all the cool shots are from behind, from an actress in a really bad fucking wig. I mean, it's so noticeable. The color of the wig does not match up with the color of Alice's hair. So that's garbage. And then she's got to jump into a mirror, like her bedroom mirror, to go fight Freddy, which is fine. But as she jumps, here we go. I got my little ET guy. And this is the mirror, okay? So instead of her jumping, like maybe jumping and then going like that at a cool angle, or maybe jumping and punching forward, she literally jumps and her body goes perfectly straight through the mirror. And it looks horrible. I absolutely hate that shot. It's cringeworthy, it's dumb, it's unnecessary, and it's disappointing seeing how great Renny Harlin is, with all the other filming that he does in this film. And then like there's some really bad special effects, which you'll notice it when I get it. It's when Freddy gets a whole shot in him, and when I think her name is Sheila, the black girl, gets attacked by some stupid thing in her dream, and her arm's pulled into her desk, and she pulls it up. Really bad special effects. But overall, I will say, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, is a really entertaining, good follow-up to Part 3. I mean, I still say 1 and 3 are a toss-up of the better ones, but this is probably, I think I read until Freddy vs. Jason came out, this was the highest grossing film. And overall, like I said, it's worth it. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, is not my favorite. You know, like I said, 1 and 3, it goes back and forth. Definitely in the top 3, I think, of the... No, I'll say top 4. Definitely in the top 4 of the original films, not counting the remake and the crossover with Jason. I do highly, highly recommend Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Overall, good performances, likable characters, even though Tuesday Night fucking sucks as Kristen. Overall, we got some good deaths. We got some really good camera shots that overshadow the crappy ones. I have a lot of fun. Highly recommend Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, don't care, poet and I don't know it. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Check out my other stuff. Other movie reviews, You Hate It, I Don't, which are where I defend universally hated films that I really love. Drunken rants, cartoon commentaries. I do this spiel in every one of my fucking, I was going to say movies, reviews, videos, whatever. But, yeah, definitely recommend Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. I'll eventually get to Part 5, Freddy's Dead, New Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake. But, slowly but surely. So in the end, I will say, cheers, and... I was gonna say wanna suck face, which is what he says to the black girl, but that would have come off wrong. So I'll just say cheers and welcome to Wonderland, Alice.